Education International is the voice of the teaching profession worldwide. We strongly believe that governments need to take the measures that are required to improve quality education in their countries. We do that on the one hand by influencing the agencies in the international community, by encouraging donor organizations to give priority to education, and on the other hand by giving our member organizations, these are education unions and professional associations around the world, the tools to one, put political pressure on their national governments to do what's right, and two, by also training the members of these organizations in becoming better teachers.
We're very glad to be here in Kenya to have our regional conference for our member organizations in the African region. It's a conference which is focusing on the priority areas for Education International now, which is about being able to deliver quality education to all children in every country around the world.
And now we are here to talk about quality education. Our theme is achieving quality education in Africa. Challenges and prospects for the 2015 and beyond.
Governments need to invest in teachers. When we talk about education quality, we're talking about three things. We talk about quality teaching, we talk about quality tools, and we talk about quality environments, that is, safe and healthy environments. But first of all, governments are to invest in teachers, that is, in their training, in their professional development, in their terms and employment conditions.
Achieving quality education in African prospects and challenges beyond 2015 provokes us to ask ourselves many questions in terms of where we are and where we are going as a nation, as people who are committed to fair labor practices, and as people who are committed to make sure that terms and conditions of service of teaching men and women are well taken care of.
We're collaborating with the General Secretary of the EI. We are engaging the IMF and the World Bank in Washington, D.C., where we are advocating for investment in public services. So if I said increased investment in public services, here I'm talking about increased investment in education, quality education.
When we talk about gender, a person's identity as who they are, this is something really that people are born with. We are not going to change people by telling them you're wrong, you're bad. What we do is by talking like that, we isolate them so they become victims of bullying. They are more likely to commit suicide. And our responsibility, again, is to educate all of our children.
It is extremely important for us to focus on the girl child and girls' access to quality education. We know that of the children that don't have access today, there are a majority of girls, unfortunately. So we have to try to develop strategies of how can we reach these girls that for some reason are denied education. It can be hard to reach girls. We know girls in rural areas sometimes don't get to go to school. There can be many reasons.
It's hard to find words to talk about these terrible events. I cannot imagine there is anyone who would say, oh, I do not think that's a problem. Of course it is. And obviously it's linked to, in some cases, religious fanaticism or to or to prejudice against girls and women. I mean, when you see the attack on the school in Nigeria, it's not an accident that it was a girls' school that was attacked. And we are very strongly committed to full inclusion of all the genders, that education for girls is absolutely as important as education for boys. Actually, just in terms of the impact on a developing economy, educating girls is maybe even more important. It has more results for the whole society.
One of the main challenges that we are facing is that in Africa there is an incredibly shortage of teachers, and that in some countries governments resort to what we call the para-teachers, the voluntary teachers. That is, people that are not qualified are invited to actually start educating children while they do not have the qualifications, while they do not have the skills. So I think that is a real challenge to improve education quality. That's a real obstacle to the improvement of education quality. That is one. Two, we do encounter in many African countries unsafe, unhealthy school environments.
We are talking about Boko Haram in Nigeria, where 200 girls were abducted. Those are school girls. And they've never returned up to date. And the government of Nigeria has been completely incapable of recovering those children. No one knows whether they're alive or dead. We have witnessed the same in Kenya.
If you know the ideology behind Boko Haram, it's an ideology that they are against Western education. That is principally what they're standing for. That's why they could go to the public schools, burn the schools down, abduct the children and take them away. Now this has really affected many health and then teaching professionals in Nigeria. Not only in Nigeria, I won't say in Nigeria, across the world. Recently in Pakistan, there was a big problem where they went to a school and bombed the school. Teachers, students died. That was, I think, a couple of months ago, about 2-3 months ago. Over 100 school children died. A lot of teachers also died. Because this, how do you call it, the so-called Talibans, they went to the school and bombed the school in Pakistan. We also know of the problem around the borders between Somalia, between Kenya and Somalia. We follow the development as to what is happening. So we look at it as an issue of security issue, and that we think that we should be able to harness our potentials and see how we can advocate for government to be able to put measures in place. Because government has the fundamental responsibility to give protection to the citizen of the country. Why do we pay tax? At the end of the month, they deduct your tax from source. Why do we pay tax? Why are we taking care of the government officials? So that they could protect us, they could give us security.
We wrote to the President of the Republic and requested that all schools in the country, especially in insecure areas, should be secured. And for records, we have that letter documented in our files. That the learners must be safe, children, school-going children, they must be safe everywhere. And also teachers must be safe. Because forewarned is forearmed. We saw these events, and this is what we call radicalism. Radicalization of the youth is now a common phenomenon. We have seen it in Pakistan, we've seen in Syria, and even radicalization cannot be ruled out in Kenya. It is going on. And it has been implicated that it is existing in some institutions, even in Kenya. Shall we bury our heads in the sand?
We've been working through different coalitions, often through the United Nations, to try to define schools as we call it safe sanctuaries. The way you also have defined health institutions as institutions that the international community should protect against attack, whether it's internally in a country or whether it's in a conflict between countries. So we're trying, and we're trying also through through politicians, through coalitions. We've worked a lot with Gordon Brown as the UN Special Envoy on Quality Education to put focus on it, because sometimes just making the world know you can put pressure on or also create protection that makes it safer to go back to school. It's not an easy job, but I believe it's extremely important, because when you attack and threaten the school, you're threatening the students and the teachers. And it's very effective in depriving students of education, which means that you're depriving them of an opportunity to evolve. It's highly political, it's about power play. And it goes to show how important teachers are. But we are putting a lot of focus on it. We try everything from political influence to highlighting through media to giving support where we can. But it's a difficult task.
Yeah!